Hello good people and welcome to 7mm Sidings number 77A. That's strange, they say. Why 77A? Well, I've been asked to do a weathering demo on a loco, and I've already pre-recorded 77, 78, 79, 80, etc. So I've done quite a few others. So this one is going to slot in, hence 77A. Now the loco I'm going to work on is the Helgen Class 33 in Network Southeast, so a really bright loco. But now I'm afraid it's confession time. I forgot to do this intro before I started weathering it, so I've already made a start. But what I'm going to do in a moment, I'll put some photographs up of the loco as it was originally, and then we'll get into the weathering demo. It's going to be quite a long process to do all the bits and pieces. But the main thing, there is the loco comes with a very shiny black roof. That had to go, very toy-like, very plasticky looking. So the roof had to be done. I'm looking for an in-service loco that's a little bit dirty, not grimy, not grubby, but clean. Clean, dirty, in-service. If that makes any sense, you'll see what I'm thinking about when I get to the end. Hopefully it'll come out okay. Let's get into the video. So photographs coming up first of how it started off and what I should have been showing you here in this clip, and then we'll move on to the actual weathering. Join you at the end and we'll have your comments. Thanks. Just to show you before we start what I'm going to be using, these are the sets that I buy of airbrushes. They're about £15. The original one I got about 15, 16 years ago now, but every now and again you need a new airbrush, so I don't spend a lot of money. It comes with 2 or 3 spare needles. It comes with a braided hose, so it's got a spare braided hose, and the ends for the get it in focus, different sizes there. There's a 5mm, a 3mm and a 7mm end, and the various other bits and pieces that would come with it. So that's quite a good little set. And the compressor I use is what they call the baby elephant, and that's because it looks like a baby elephant. Straightforward little compressor. It's not got an air chamber or anything fancy like that. It's just a straightforward little switch on, switch off compressor. So that's all I should be using. Right, I'm going to try and video what I'm doing. I've got the Class 33 set up now ready for spraying. I've masked it up. I've left the grills because the grills were very dirty on these, so I've left them free. And although I've already masked up the windscreens ready for later on, I've still covered over so that I've got an edge around there, and I can still get to do the bogey detail. I always have a bit of paper. These came out of the old Bachmann 00 gauge model boxes, so I'm going to start with a clean one today, but it allows me to test the colour of the paint and also to just make sure the airbrush isn't splattering out or blotching or whatever before I actually approach the model. So we'll start with a clean piece of paper today. And the first job I'm going to do is to tone down the roof and try and get that a little bit more in keeping with where it should be. As I say, I'm hoping you'll be able to hear me above the compressor. So yeah, happy with that. I've got a colour. So a bit darker around the exhaust. Now I'm going to do the two side grills. And then they start under the bottom. Before I start under the bottom, what I normally do is lay the loco at a little bit of an angle, and it gives me a better sort of view there. I'll show you what I've got. When I was doing 00, I used to take the artificial coal out of the tenders, so it makes an ideal wedge just to get the loco at the right angle. And now a bit of frame dirt just around underneath the ends. Try not to get too much up on the yellow. So that's toned everything down a bit now. We've got a better colour on the roof. We've taken the shine away, and we've got a little bit around there. I'm just going to put a lighter colour in now and go around, do some more frame dirt around the bottom. So I'll change the paint now. Several different colours I used from the Tamiya range when I'm doing this. This particular one is NATO brown. I also use tan and wooden deck brown as well, which is a lighter colour. So what we're going to do now is just give the underframe a bit more of a lighter colour now on there, and the same round under the two ends. What I also do when I open a brand new pot, I put a ring around it so I know it's over opened. If I put thinners in with it, I add a T sometimes in the centre, but I put a T on there so it's thinned down. And if I mix another colour with it, I put an M on there so I know there's maybe a brown and a black mixed in with that, or a lighter colour or whatever, but it's not an original colour. So I'm just going to add some more paint now. I'm not going too mad with this because there will be another colour going on in a moment as well, which will be a lighter brown. Now for the last of the spray colours on the chassis, and this is Flat Earth. It's a very good colour, XF52, and I'm using this neat, and again it's just going to go on an area so there's a bit of definition, and then of course later on I'll be going around with powders and that sort of thing as well. So let's see how this goes. I've already tested it on the paper, by the way, so I know that I've got a slightly lighter colour. Again, I try and catch where it might come up on the corners. And adds a bit of other colour to it again. A bit over under the end. buffers will get redone anyway later on in black. So that's that for now. Okay, so with the tape removed, I'm now just going to give the bottom end a little bit more dusting, but I'll let some go up onto the actual bodywork now, but not an awful lot. I want to keep it fairly clean but weathered. I've still got to go in around all the recesses and do that yet, but that'll be a job for in a minute with the powders and paints. I forgot to put the camera back on just now, but I've done around the exhaust and just made that a bit dirtier around there. But what I've done now is put in another dirty mix. I'm going to give the loco a blow over now, so that when I come down and start cleaning it off, it will leave streaks down the body, the dirt will stay in the dirty places, and then it'll give it more of a weathered effect. So let's see if that works. It should do. We'll see how we go. Okay, so there we go. Let's have a look at it back on the workbench. So yeah, it looks suitably grubby. The next job now is going to be to clean it up. It sounds crazy, but that's what we're going to do. Is we've got rid of the shine on the roof, we've got rid of the plastic toy look. At the end we've got a little bit of dirt along the bottom. I want to do some streaking coming down from the lamp brackets there, and we'll just put it on its side for you, get a better view with the light on it. And then as I say, the next job now will be to put some dirt in around the recesses, so in around where the doors are, and around behind the handles, the door handles and the railings, and then put a bit more colour then with the powders onto the bogies. So again, we've got different colours on there in a moment. So that's where we are at the moment. Well, let's start by going through what we're going to actually be using today. From this end here, we've got some cotton buds, so they'll come into use later on. I've got a tray there, and you can see the orange in the corner where I sort of mix up my powders, and then there's a selection of a few paints there, a selection of brushes, and various large, small and medium. Some of the brushes I use are a bit like this. You haven't got to spend a fortune on brushes, big ones, small ones, whatever. They're very, very soft and ideal for working on powders and getting the nice sort of finish. And then talking of powders, many years ago from a friend of mine, I got some cars weathering powders. They come in sachets, and George Tate, my friend, he put them into a box and decanted them all into little tubs. So I should be using them later on, and we've got a couple of browns. There's a charcoal and a soot, and there's also some somewhere in here, oh, there we go, talcum powder. It gives you a white, it gives you a whitish finish, ideal, nice smell as well. Some of the other stuff that you'll see that I've got all my paints are there in trays, that's the acrylic, and then the enamels are in another tray. God bless Ferrero Rocher, and so that's where I keep all the main paint. So let's make a start. So I'm going to start off with the mix that I used for the doing the roof and some of the underframe, which is a mixture of blacks, browns and various things, just in the pot there, and we're just going to run it in along in here and down in the back of that grill. We want the dirt to go in the back, down there and around the recess. It'll go around the door handle as well, and then come down along, and just haven't got to be overly fussy with this because it's going to be wiped off in a few moments. But I've got one friend of mine, he actually lets it all go rock hard and dry. I might even try that later on, but we'll get a bit on the bottom of that grill where it's coming through there, and we'll get some just in around behind the handrails there, and then, as I say, we'll clean that off in a moment, and then we'll see where we go with that. So that's some dirt applied. So now what I'm going to do, I've got a pot of dirty thinners. It's what I wash my brushes out in, and it's acrylic thinner. So I'm just taking a little swab of this now on the cotton bud, and taking most of it off the cotton bud, and then I should just wipe around on here, and then wipe in behind the handrails, bring that on down, and basically it's going to be downward strokes to get the dirt coming out. And already we're getting the sort of effect we're looking for. So now I'm going to take a slightly wider brush. That one's a bit coarse. Just need a slightly wider brush now. And to wipe it on down. So need a little bit of thinners on that. And again, I'm going to wipe it off on the tissue so that we get most of the thinners off the brush. So we're now getting the effects that we're looking for. I won't be showing you the whole loco on this because you'll be bored to death and pulling your hair out before we get to the end. But if I show you the basics on this piece as to what we're looking to achieve, and then we can get the tissue and just wipe it away. And the beauty with acrylic is you can just put some acrylic thinner on it, or you can use enamel thinner, it doesn't matter. And you can take off as little or as much as you want and just get it back to looking clean again. So I'm going to clean that a little bit more and then we'll come back and see how it's looking. So there it is on the layout. So certainly the roof's a better colour. It's nice and dark. It's showing up a little bit of a sheen from the lights above, but so is everything else. But yeah, it blends in better now. It's not quite so garish. That's it against the weathered, factory weathered 37, which it certainly blends in better with that. I've got the ends to do yet. They'll be done tomorrow now, because it's nearly tea time. And that's a not a factory weathered, that's a Tower Models weathered Dutch. So that's Merlin. That's a new addition to the fleet. And so yeah, I'm pleased with that. It now looks a little bit more in use. Where the network southeast is, it's not so bright. You've got streaking down through the lettering, although it doesn't show up quite so well on the video, but there is streaking down through there and along the band at the bottom, so that that's not quite so in your face. So that's where we are so far. So the next job I want to do is clean up the ends, get a little bit of streak in there and take away the blandness there, just make it look a little bit more interesting. I'm going to use some weathering powders. So what I'm doing, I've got a little brush that I'm going to use. I'm just dipping it in the pot, and as you can see, I don't use very much at all. I've got two different colours here. One is the orangey red and one is the redder red, for want of a better expression. So I'm just taking a little bit on the end of my brush, and then we're going to just do the ends of the cap. And what I'm doing, just putting a little bit of colour around the bottom of there. Sometimes you actually got to breathe on the body to get some moisture on the body so that it sticks a little bit. So breathing on there, and we've now got a little bit of colour on there. Again, most of this colour will come off, but as you can see, I'm not using vast amounts of powder. It's only a small amount. It's staining there at the moment, and then when I go through to clean off in a minute, that'll give a streak down the bodywork. A little bit underneath the light cluster as well, where it might it's a little bit too heavy on that one, but we can sort that out. Right, so then it's cotton bud and a bit of my dirty thinners, acrylic thinners, just getting the worst off of there and then wiping that so it's almost dry. And then we just start coming on down in a motion, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, I'm actually twiddling that so it comes around a little bit and comes on down. It's taken off most of the dirt, but it will leave dirt in recesses and those sort of areas. And that is about it. That's about enough to be looking better. There we go, and you can see where the dirt has stayed in around those sort of areas. A bit of a mark there I don't like. And that's the beauty of doing this with the thinners, because you can just take off what you want and leave dirty areas where you want it. So that will do for that, and all we've got to do now is the other end. So the next area I'm going to work on is the bogies, just to add a little bit more colour in there, again with the powders. I'm using a slightly bigger brush this time. This is almost a 1/4 inch brush, and as you can see it's a pretty mucky brush, but it doesn't matter, it's fairly stiff. So what I'm going to be doing, I'll pick up a little bit of the powder that we had before, and I'm just going to dab it in around in a few areas, mainly in around the back where the springs are and the axles. That would stay fairly greasy, so we don't want to go too mad in there, but there are a few areas I'm trying to keep out of the way of the camera that we can see where a little bit of powder will just give it a little bit more colour and just take away again the blandness of the colour of the bogey, and it's really picking up some road dirt and that sort of thing, brake dust, and again a few things like that. And again the brush can just pick out a few details, and just by running the brush over it is enough to highlight areas and make them stand out a little bit more. Let's see if I can get the camera up a bit more. And the worst thing you can do is, you know, if you overdo it, you can just go in again with, sorry I've offered the camera a bit there, you can always just go over it again with the airbrush if you wanted to, or you can just add some pure black powder to those sort of areas, and that will bring out the detail as well. So I've got to do that all round now, and then we'll see how that looks at the end. Right, we're on the layout now. So we've got the factory weathered 33, get it right. We've got the one that I've just done, and we've got the one from Tower Models, which I've got to say is a superb job as well. So looking at my one, that's the bogies on the Tower Models one, that's the bogies on mine, and then in around the door handles, Towers haven't got anything around the door handles because dirt never gets cleaned from behind the handles. So on mine there's dirt in the recesses and that sort of thing. Again with the Tower one, yes, you can see there's a bit of dirt around the recesses, but not a lot coming down from the hinges, whereas mine shows a little bit more dirt coming down from the hinges. Not so much on this side, surprisingly, there's probably more on the other side. And then again dirt around there. I've done the buffer shanks, and I've also done the buffer shanks on the factory Elgin and on the Tower Models one as well. I think that's going to be the new standard now. I think it looks so much better with that done. It's something that you see in real life, because obviously the shanks are working in and out all the time. But overall, yeah, I'm pleased with that. The roof is certainly a far better colour. Again, Elgin factory roof. There's a little bit of reflection off the lights above, but there's my roof, not quite so dark in the middle, and there's the Tower roof, a little bit, you can't see it from there very well, but it's a bit darker in the middle in actual fact. So they're all quite similar now, and all looking in service and about right. So yeah, pleased with that job, and that's another job out of the way. Well, there we go, that's that one done. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it informative. I haven't done proper weathering like that now for about 5 years, and it probably shows a little bit. I've made a few mistakes along the way, but you live and learn, and there's nothing like trying and having a go yourself. So I'd recommend anybody to just have a go, try on a cheap wagon to start with, and give it a try, see what you think, and then you'll improve with more and more practice. I need a bit more improvement, I need a bit more practice, so I've got some more to do later on. We'll get on and do that. But it's certainly improved the loco, it's toned it down, it's made it look more part of the fleet now. But there we go. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video. Cheers now, bye.